Hello and welcome back to the 2006 season of the Monsters of Destruction. I'm Kevin Hines. This week we're back for round number 14 in Monroe, Washington at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds, where the course was everybody's worst nightmare out here. Very, very difficult, very technical, and most of all, a long course running back-to-back races on time constraints. A lot of these trucks were getting very hot out there. Rick Swanson, of course, on top of the point standings after 13 of 13 rounds so far this season. Tonight, it'll be very interesting to see what the competition shapes up to be. Let's run down and take a look at our field of drivers for round 14.
The winner of the race is not going to be the fastest truck out here. It's going to be the smoothest driver on the course.
In any series that we go out and run, we seem to be towards the top of the pack.
But really, I'm out here just to make sure that the people that are paying the money to be in the seats enjoy what I'm doing and trying to make monster trucks as cool as possible.
It's a good class. There's a class out here of trucks that, you know, can contend with anybody in the world.
This will be my first race. I've done some freestyle stuff, but this will be my first race against some real competitions.
But as a team, we're still doing good. Everybody works together, you know, as much as we can.
I'd rather have a bigger field of trucks. That way you kind of, hopefully, being a teammate to my dad, we can be split up on opposite sides of the bracket. Gives us a little better chance for that, so we can meet each other in the finals.
You got a nice ramp hitting the cars where you can really get on it and fly.
I think my team's the team to beat. That's when they're always guns for. That's when they get really happy when they do beat us.
You just got to go out there and run your own race regardless of who's in the other lane or who else is at the show, because you know, we race the biggest and the best, and we hold our own against them.
All right, let's get right into the competition. Wade Sherman, up to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Let's take a look at our standings in straight line drag competition through 13 rounds. Rick Swanson on top in the Obsession, followed by Dan Patrick, Craig Christensen, Dan Runte, and Paul Jensen in Spider-Man. Rounding out the top 10, it's Kelvin Raymer, Lindsey Wink, who swept last week in round 13, Frank Scattini, Jimmy Cretin, and Dave Harkey in Bigfoot. Your obstacle course standings look like this through 13 rounds. Rick Swanson on top there as well, followed by Dan Patrick, Craig Christensen, Paul Jensen, and Dan Runte in Bigfoot with 137 points. The rest of the top 10 features Kelvin Raymer in Natural High, Frank Scattini, Jimmy Cretin, Lindsey Wink, and Jason Grill. So as we get ready to go racing here in round 14 from Monroe, Washington at the Evergreen Speedway, let's go down to the floor and talk to some of our drivers in tonight's action.
All right, Lindsey, we're back in Monroe, round number 14. You came out in round number 13. You put the hammer down. In fact, you raced Craig Christensen 5 times. What was that like, having him every time?
Every time I got out of the truck and I went to look at the brackets, I was like, well, who do I got next? You know, Craig's tough and he's consistent. And sure enough, you got Dragon Slayer. I was like, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. 5 times. You're kidding me. Because I knew he was right there every time. So if I slipped up, he was right up there. And I figured that's going to be the one right in the semifinals. And he's going to jump on by me, and I'm going to lose one little race, and he's going to jump on ahead of me. But, you know, cards were in my favor last night. I got CSK behind us, Checker Chucks Craig, and we got a fast truck, and I'm going to want to do the same thing again tonight.
Kelvin, we're back out here in Monroe, Washington for round number 14. Some tough competition out here with 10 trucks in the field in round 13.
Yeah, none of the trucks are weak trucks. They're all strong runners. You got to be prepared every time you roll up to the line to give it your all.
All right, Roger, we're out here, round 14, Monroe, Washington. Now, out here in round 13, Jeff drove the truck. You're stepping in for him this time around. What's happening with the team change there?
Well, he wants to give me a little bit of seat time tonight. I'm probably going to be taking over the truck next year, and so he wants me to get a little experience with this track. This is definitely a race we're going to have to hit next year.
So how does Tire Factory, how are they involved with the Captain USA team?
Tire Factory is a great sponsor. They're really behind us, and they help us out a whole lot. We do a lot of displays for them, and they come to a lot of our events, and they really support us and help us out.
Rick, we're back out here in Monroe, Washington, round 14. So what's it like to be number one in both sets of the series right now?
You know, you shouldn't be saying this. You're going to jinx me. You know, it just puts a little more pressure on me for tonight. Like I said, unfortunately, Dan's not here. That automatically put me into first place. We did good last night. We were in the finals both times, straight line and obstacle. Object tonight, see if we can repeat that and maybe even win. We got a hard field of trucks. And one of my worst enemies as far as having to go against Lindsey is like the ultimate competitor. When I have to meet him in the final round, I always kind of take a deep breath.
So we move on to round one, heat number one. There's no qualifying at tonight's show. We had a P-pick, and they're going to come out in random order based on how they drew. Coming out first, it's Natural High, Kelvin Raymer, and Iron Outlaw, driven by Lindsey Wink. This is elimination action right off the gate. So far, Iron Outlaw looking good. He's pulling away here. Whoa! On two wheels on the landing, turned it sideways, but comes across the line with a time of 7.869. Kelvin Raymer, 8.399. Not good enough here.
Both trucks were a little bit squirrely. You know, we saw that a lot in round 13 where they weren't able to get totally square. Let's take another look at this run as Lindsey Wink and Iron Outlaw go after it against Kelvin Raymer and the Natural High. Here we go, side by side off the start, up and over the tabletop. Lindsey learned a little bit the last round out here. 0.236 reaction time takes that one by storm, Wade.
Yeah, he learned that when you win, you get a big check, and he did it twice, so I think he liked it.
All right, so moving on to the next race, it's going to be Obsession and Spider-Man coming up next for the second round.
There's Paul Jensen. Did some damage to that Spider-Man truck in round 13. Looks like they've got it fixed. Maybe some fiberglass still missing, but I think structurally it's pretty sound. Going up against Rick Swanson here in the Obsession machine. Swanson, the season leader in all the standings through 13 rounds, both straight line and obstacle. Pretty even start here. Wow, that Spider-Man has a lot more damage than I thought. Obsession able to advance to victory here. Maybe Spider-Man's in trouble. But wait, no, we have a red light. Rick Swanson has been disqualified, handing the victory to Jensen and Spider-Man.
What an upset right there. Rick Swanson, it looked like he had him. We weren't able to see that he actually had the red light disqualification until the end of the run. But you're right, Spider-Man had snapped the shock tower and just completely damaged that truck. But look at his reaction time of 0.009.
That's as close to a red light as he can get. 0.009. It was dead on. Spider-Man advances after the red light from Rick Swanson, and that could hurt him in the season standings.
That very well could. You know, he's very, very close to Dan Patrick in a lot of these events, but, you know, as Dan Patrick and Sampson not joining us this time around, Rick Swanson has a chance to capitalize on that, so he's got to do just that. He's got to be careful of those red lights. Now Frank Scattini going up against Jimmy Cretin and the Bounty Hunter. Look at this, Scattini is up and over. He's on fire. Oh, and Bounty Hunter misses the cars. It looks like he's going to hand the victory over to Frank.
Yeah, Monster Jerky had that one won without the penalty, but Jimmy Cretin off his game so far here tonight in round 14. That's out of character for him.
That it is, especially in that Bounty Hunter truck. It's set up so well, and out here in this Monroe track for round 13, he did great. Let's take a look at the replay here. Scattini runs away with it right there, a 0.196. One thing I'm noticing this time around is we're seeing better reaction times than we saw out here in round 13, Wade.
Yeah, they've been on it. They came to race here tonight. They know if they're going to beat Lindsey Wink, they've got to be prepared, and they've got to cut a few corners, take a few risks. We saw that blow up in Swanson's face in round 13 obstacle course. He tried to beat him and wound up hitting a turning tire, cut the turn a little too close, but Lindsey Wink is that good. You've got to take some chances. Now here's Jason Grill in Public Disturbance. He'll do battle with the 2005 champion Craig Christensen in the Dragon Slayer.
Now this should be a good race right off the bat. Jason Grill came to race out here in round 13. Let's see what he's got in 14. Look at Dragon Slayer launching it all the way over, getting the power to the ground. Recovering a little bit of time there spent trying to recover, but Dragon Slayer with a great time, a 7.998 against Jason's 9.078 in Public Disturbance. So Dragon Slayer moving on.
Nice race for Craig Christensen. He will advance. Jason Grill unable to move to the second round as he did in round 13, but he's had a pretty good showing in front of the hometown crowd. There, the reaction time again very strong for Jason Grill, 0.08. We're seeing less than a tenth of a second consistently. A lot of guys have come to race tonight. We've got one more heat to go in straight line. Round number one. We'll bring it to you after these words on MOD. Competition in round 14 of MOD action. There's Brad Campbell in the Monster Moose. He's going to race against a new driver on the MOD circuit, Roger Stidell. That's about all I know about him. He's a newcomer, kind of come out of nowhere. Let's see what he can do. Brad Campbell, oh, not a whole lot it would appear. Here comes Monster Moose to the line.
Man.
Tough break for Stidell. He is going to keep it rolling in Captain USA, finish in 12.5 seconds, but that big tabletop, pretty imposing for a new guy.
That it was. It's almost like a kid's first time on a bike. You know, he came out and just hit the brakes right on the face of that tabletop, which is unfortunately something you don't do in a monster truck. You've got to power through it a little bit. But Jeff Boehner stepped out of the way, let Roger Steidel in the truck, and as a result, Brad Campbell running away with the first round of elimination.
Yeah, some of that impact there on Monster Moose might have caused some damage. He landed pretty hard, harder than I thought. We'll have to keep an eye on his mechanical condition. We move on to round 2 now. Here's Lindsey Wink. He won both divisions in round 13, advances here. He's going to race against Paul Jensen and Spider-Man, and that truck has seen better days.
Man, oh man, he destroyed that truck out here in round 13, busted off the shock towers as we talked about earlier, and damaged the holder into the truck, punches a little bit of a wheelie there. Lindsey Wink in the Iron Outlaw, as he is so good at doing consistently, a 7.442, runs away with the victory this time around, and of course, time or no time, Paul Jensen and Spider-Man took a red light that time around.
Yeah, he lost it anyway, but had he won, he would have been disqualified. He jumped the gun. And I don't blame him. I mean, Lindsey Wink has won every time he's taken the track. If you're going to beat him, you've got to nail that green, and it was worth taking a shot right there. I would have done the same thing.
That's right. You got to try and cut the lights, because if you are going to beat Lindsey Wink, you've got to do it on every inch of the track that you can capitalize on any mistakes that he might make. The lights are one of those where you can try and get him right off the bat, and that's what Paul Jensen was trying to do. Now we move on to another round here in round 2 of straight line drags. This man right here, Craig Christensen in the 01 Dragon Slayer, our 05 champion, going up against Frank Scattini in the Monster Jerky. Now this could be a good race from what we saw earlier, Wade.
Yeah, so far a pretty even start as they come to the car stack. Could be anybody's race. Looks like Dragon Slayer has the advantage. He does. 6.9, 7.3 as he catches some air there and goes off the end of the course with emphasis. Beats Frank Scattini and Monster Jerky by about 0.4 of a second.
You know what, I got to mention something here about Craig Christensen. We saw him out here in round 13. This time around, cut a good light right there, a .211, but a 6.9. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is faster than any time we saw in straight line drags from round 13 right here in Monroe.
Yeah, not only are you correct, it was good by not a little, a lot. But the closest time to that 6.97 run was a 7.415 turned in by Scattini in the last round. Very impressive here.
MOD action, we're in heat number 3 of the straight line drags. Wade Sherman and Kevin Hines here joining you in Monroe, Washington for round 14. Kelvin Raymer in the Natural High going up against Brad Campbell in the Monster Moose. And I don't know, we saw Brad out here earlier this evening. Looked like he took a nice hard hit on that truck. We're going to find out if he can beat Raymer right now. The tabletop's getting broken down a little bit. Off they go, straight line drag competition underway. And look at that, Kelvin Raymer's going to make it close, but not close enough. Brad Campbell's 7.582 is going to take him on to the next round.
Chalk one up for the Moose. He's looking good tonight in front of his home state crowd here in Monroe, Washington. I'd have to go back and check the record books, but I think this may be one of his best nights in straight line drag competition in the history of his involvement. He's really, really doing well tonight.
That's right. Brad Campbell has stepped it up. You know, of course, he's from Puget Sound, which is right around the corner from the Evergreen Speedway here in Monroe, Washington. And there you can see it, at a great victory, almost 3/4 of a truck ahead of Kelvin Raymer in the Natural High. And that's really all it's going to take out here tonight as we move on to our next round of racing.
Here we go in the semifinals. Lindsey Wink and Iron Outlaw doing battle with Craig Christensen in the Dragon Slayer. Iron Outlaw has been awfully tough. Dragon Slayer needs to avoid the red light here, but also needs to start fast because these are our 2 fastest trucks.
That's right. Of course, Craig Christensen setting fast time earlier, and look at this as he carries the wheels off. Lindsey Wink gaining some ground. They go side by side. Dragon Slayer 7.097 against Lindsey Wink, Iron Outlaw 7.186. That was a close race, Wade.
Lucky 7 for Craig Christensen. The 7th time is a charm. He finally beats Lindsey Wink here after 6 consecutive losses. I tell you what, I might have given up long before that and just given it to him. I mean, that shows a lot of stick-to-itiveness, I'll say, on the part of Craig Christensen. He finally got it done, and it would have been easy to kind of mail it in there.
That's right. A lot of perseverance by Craig Christensen, our 05 Series champion. Both drivers cut less than a .2 second time on the lights. That's going to give them both very, very quick time. So Craig Christensen advances. Let's move on to our second round here in semifinals. It is this man, Frank Scattini in the Monster Jerky, who has come to play, and play hard he has. He goes up against Brad Campbell in front of his hometown crowd. This is going to be a good one, Wade.
Scattini's been on it. Monster Moose having one of his better nights, would appear to be the underdog, but this is anybody's race. Too close to call. We'll have to go to the computerized timing. Monster Jerky, 7-1-5-1, just 0.04 of a second better than Monster Moose with a 7-1-9.
Man, was that a close race. You can see they're side by side going across his first tabletop. You know, Brad put up a heck of a fight in that Monster Moose truck, but Frank Scattini in the Monster Jerky comes through. Look at that, both very good lights as we have seen consistently here in round 14. So Frank Scattini chalking another one up. Frank Scattini is going to the finals. First time we've been able to see that so far this year.
Yeah, if you're watching out there, there's a lot of people who want to tell you that monster truck racing is fixed. You know, it's all staged to, you know, support one brand of truck or another, you know, but it doesn't get any closer than that. 0.04 of a second.
Doing a Lindsey Wink, taking the fast loser bracket to the final. I think I'm against Craig again, huh? I guess I got to plant that start perfect, and I can't bobble. I do my best. It's hot in here.
Channel, the stage is set for the straight line final, and for the first time, it's not going to be Lindsey Wink, but it will be either Dragon Slayer or Monster Jerky.
And here we go as they get ready to take place on the final round. Dragon Slayer comes in as the favorite with the fastest time of the night. But here they go. The stage is set. They're off and running. Scattini going side by side with Christensen with a wheel stand. Here they go right up to the line. It is too close to call. And look at that. Dragon Slayer, a 7-2-2-1 against Monster Jerky 7-2-3-2. I think that's the closest race we've seen in a while, Wade.
Can't get much closer. I mean, you're talking about 1/100th of a second. And it was really impressive that Dragon Slayer was able to stay with that. He was in a wheelie for the majority of the straightaway, and I really thought Scattini would run away from him there.
You know, one of the interesting things about that is as Craig entered into that wheelie, you know that he had to let off the gas to bring the front end down. That he did and did well, and as we look at the slow-mo cam there, right across the finish line, side by side.
So your results here tonight, Craig Christensen, the winner, followed by Frank Scattini finishing second, Lindsey Wink in third, Brad Campbell a respectable fourth, and Kelvin Raymer fifth. Paul Jensen checked in sixth, followed by Jason Grill, Jimmy Cretin, Roger Steidel, and Rick Swanson. A big blow to Rick Swanson in the season standings, to be sure, but he maintains his lead over Dan Patrick. Craig Christensen is third, Paul Jensen fourth, and Dan Runty fifth through 14 rounds. Rounding out the top 10, it's Kelvin Raymer, Lindsey Wink, Frank Scattini in Monster Jerky, Jimmy Cretin, and Brad Campbell in Monster Moose. Let's move right into obstacle course racing here. This is heat number 1. There's Lindsey Wink in Iron Outlaw. Looks like he's going to be going up against Kelvin Raymer in Natural High, and this is a very unique obstacle course. They'll turn in opposite directions at the end of the first straight, and there's some really big tabletops here, Kevin.
That there is. Now this roller is crucial right off the bat to get a good launch on that over that first set of doubles, around the corner clean. As you see, Lindsey Wink, a textbook execution right there of the corner with the four-wheel steering. Comes right up and over the tabletop, nice and square. Oh, look at Raymer, launches the tabletop. Oh my goodness, the crowd is going wild out here. But you know what? That is not going to win him the race, but it does win him the brownie points with the crowd out here, Wade.
If you're going to go out in style, and that's what he did right there. Major air, a good sign for freestyle later tonight, but he's still running, my goodness. An impressive victory, to say the least, for Iron Outlaw and Lindsey Wink. He's been on his game ever since he got off the truck here and unloaded in Monroe, Washington.
You know, and I think he had time to have donuts and coffee there before Raymer finished the race. But you know what? Lindsey Wink always runs a good, clean race. He's one of those guys that no matter what is happening out there on the track or in the backfield, it doesn't matter. He always comes out and runs his own race. His mind is always in the zone. I have never seen Lindsey Wink come out and just basically blow it. I've seen him bobble a few times, but I've never seen him completely blow it. And right there, a little bit slow off the light compared to what we've seen, but it doesn't matter. Up against Raymer, takes it by a huge margin out there tonight. And here we see the inside cam as they come up and over. This is Lindsey Wink's cam on the near side of the crowd up and over that tabletop. And that's going to advance Wink into the second round.
Yeah, I wonder if that landing after that major hang time there for Natural High and Kelvin Raymer, maybe he jostled himself on the landing, hurt himself a little bit. He was way up there, but nevertheless, we'll have to move on now to the next heat. Rick Swanson and Obsession getting set to do battle against an injured Spider-Man truck.
That's right. We'll find out how injured he is right here as they come off the line. Spider-Man up and over that set of doubles first. As they come around the corner, like you mentioned, a unique obstacle course. They turn away from each other for the second straightaway where the huge obstacles take place. You can see Rick Swanson off the side of the tabletop and back. That's going to cost him a penalty. So Spider-Man has just got to run a consistent race here to the very end. Now they turn towards each other, back around the inside. Spider-Man up and over the obstacle. Right now, Rick Swanson has got to win by at least 2 seconds. Let's go to the time clock and see what's going to take place.
No, he didn't get it done. 2-9. Wait,
he did get
it
done.
2-9-6-0-7. Spider-Man 2-9-9-8-5. The penalty, he was able to overcome it.
You know, Rick Swanson, I got to give credit where credit is due. He stuck with it through that race. He knew that he had to win by, man, a 2-second margin. It had to be coming up and over that tabletop. He's crooked. Now, he didn't incur the penalty there. It's right here where the wheels are off the side of the ramp. Automatic 2-second addition to the time here in the course. And he's got to run a consistent race right to the end. Here we go. Right to the finish line. Spider-Man bobbles right there, and that injured truck affects him.
Well, you've got to hand it to Rick. He stuck with it. It would have been easy to mail it in after he knew he had a penalty, but he stayed with it, hustled it home, and just barely made it through after suffering that 2-second penalty.
Did you see his eyes when he went over the tabletop? They got about as big as silver dollars out there. He knew that he was off the side, but he stuck with it, and that's what counts. Rick Swanson, a great race that time around.
So moving on to heat number 3, it's Frank Scattini in Monster Jerky. He's been performing well, certainly in straight lines. He made the finals and had a great run, losing by the narrowest of margins. He'll be doing battle with Jimmy Cretin and Bounty Hunter here in round 1 of obstacle course action in round 14.
Now you can see right there off the starting line the lasers that initially tripped the timing equipment here for the Monsters of Destruction. The only series to use timing equipment out there, and they, you know, it works. It comes down a lot of times to the tenth and hundredths of seconds as we've seen so far here tonight. Jimmy Cretin rounding the corner there a little bit ahead of Scattini. Scattini trying to get it straightened out as they come down to the line. Scattini is on the gas, and it looks like he might come through in the end. Frank Scattini, a 26-2-22, going to put Jimmy Cretin out of the run and early on tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like he won that after the last car stack. He was on the gas hard and made up a lot of ground with not very much real estate to work with. That was Cretin's race up until the last car stack.
You know, one of the things that's very interesting when you talk to these drivers, that a lot of people out there make fun of the Monster Jerky truck, but Frank Scattini has had problems early on in the season. When that truck hooks up and everything is working like it should, Frank can drive it to victory lane. And he's proven that out here tonight. He puts out Jimmy Cretin early on in the run-in. That truck is running very strong out here in Monroe, Washington for round 14.
So there are your brackets after 3 heats. We've got 2 heats still to come on Monsters of Destruction after these words on the Outdoor Channel.
Welcome back to MOD Action. We're back for obstacle course racing. It's heat number 4 as Jason Grill in Public Disturbance goes up against the 05 champion Craig Christensen in the Dragon Slayer. Now, Craig Christensen has proven to be very fast out here tonight, Wade.
Jason Grill's given it his best shot, but he would appear to be overmatched in this race. The start sort of suggests that as Christensen jumps out to an early lead. Nice turn there from Grill. He's still got a shot here, but struggles over that tabletop as Dragon Slayer starts to pull away, but Dragon Slayer struggled over his tabletop, and Grill really spent a lot of time in the air, almost cleared it. Still a pretty close race, but Craig Christensen now starting to pull away as he brings it to the line. He can kind of take it easy now as Grill is barely moving. I don't know if he broke or what, but tough break for Jason Grill in Public Disturbance. Dragon Slayer won comfortably there.
Definitely some difficulty there by Jason Grill in Public Disturbance. Now, Craig Christensen, not the best race that I've seen him run out here. You know, he struggled a little bit after he came over this tabletop, gets a little bit sideways on the next tabletop, You can see the far wheels starting to fall off there. That breaks a driver's concentration like nobody's business. So he rounds this corner right here, takes it a little bit easy, gets lined up for this tabletop over the stack of cars. And right now, Craig Christensen knows that Jason Grill is back there and says, you know what, I just got to finish this race. That's all there is to it. So as we move on through obstacle course racing, Monster Moose and Captain USA are up next.
Roger Stidell gets another chance to prove himself here in Monsters of Destruction competition. He's going up against Brad Campbell. A nice draw for him here. They might be fairly evenly matched. Brad Campbell, not really what you would call an obstacle course specialist. He's more of a freestyle and straight line guy. Let's see how they do here. Campbell looks like he's off the line better in the Monster Moose. Stidell behind clearly at the turn. He's struggling here a bit. Campbell not really running a terrific race, but Stidell is running less of a terrific race.
You know, not bad for his first time in this Captain USA truck, though. You know, we saw him struggle out here in straight line drags. You know, I got to hand it to him. He's out there. He's got the four-wheel steering cranking around. He's doing pretty good keeping it straight. Brad Campbell is going to walk away with this race in front of his hometown crowd here in Monroe. So Brad Campbell, the Monster Moose, walks away with a 27.456. Captain USA with a 32.363. And that's not going to be enough to cut it here tonight.
Well, let's take a look at the start. About even off the line. You see Monster Moose starts to pull away here. He's the first around the turn. Sets up the tabletop pretty well. Doesn't really stay off the throttle very long. A little bit of air right there. Sets up this turn real nice. Gets around it. Comes off the gas a little. Has to correct and line up this tabletop, but does it. And he knows at this point he can be careful, avoid penalties, bring it home victorious as Captain USA a little bit off the pace there.
So here we go. We're moving on to round number 2 of straight line drags, where Iron Outlaw and Obsession going to be our first 2 trucks out. Let's take a look at that heat race right now. Our second round of elimination, then it'll be on to semifinals. Lindsey Wink and Iron Outlaw, another showing. He's going up against Rick Swanson in Obsession. This could be a tough race out here tonight.
Yeah, these are your big dogs right here. Number 1 versus number 2 out of round 13. Pretty evenly matched. Swanson, the season leader in the standings, looking to hold that lead. Dan Patrick is sneaking up on him. He needs every point he can get. They're even. Trouble for Swanson again. He missed the tabletop. He's falling behind. Lindsey Wink pulling away now as they come to the last turn. It looks like Iron Outlaw could take this one. Swanson's going to have to hurry. He got around that last turn well. The tides have turned. Could go any which way here, but Lindsey Wink pulls away at the last, and he will advance 26.456, and a really strong race for Rick Swanson at Obsession, 26.903, considering the challenges he had there.
You know, we've seen Rick in the Obsession truck struggle with those 2 tabletops on that second straightaway. He does great right off the bat, rounds that corner, not able to get completely straight up and over that second set of tabletops, which in these races is absolutely crucial, especially when you're facing a driver like Lindsey Wink and the Iron Outlaw. There you see the reaction times. Rick had him right off the light with a .301 against Lindsey's .484. Rick, if he had hung in on the backside straightaway, I firmly believe that Rick Swanson would have won this race.
Yeah, and he posted a pretty competitive time of 26.903. We will bring back a fast loser to the semifinals. Still 2 heats to come, but he has a shot at returning. He's not out of the woods yet. We'll find out how he does after these words on MOD. Course action. This is heat number 2 of round number 2. Craig Christensen in the Dragon Slayer going up against Frank Scattini in Monster Jerky. Both have been tough tonight. Scattini, I think he's feeling it though, Kevin.
You know, Scattini is in the groove. It's kind of that second half where, you know, the football team comes back, makes a couple of scores, and they've got the momentum going for him. Frank Scattini is in that zone right now, regardless of who he's racing. Let's find out if he can hang on to it as they go side by side over the backside. Scattini launches the tabletop. Oh my goodness, hangs on to the truck.
I thought he was going to put it on the lid right there. It looked like he over-rotated and was going to plant that front bumper perpendicular, but this is an impressive runaway victory for Frank Scattini and Monster Jerky, 25.995. A second and a half over a very formidable opponent in Craig Christensen and Dragon Slayer. Scattini just getting it done.
Man, what a great race for Frank Scattini. I thought he was going to do a full gainer there trying to do the front flip. As he comes over this tabletop right here, he gets set up and ready to go. Here's the launch right here. Check this out. Scattini all the way over the tabletop. Wait, you don't get much better than that.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, he's standing up, so he's getting an even better view of that ground coming at him there. that had to be kind of scary. He was way up there.
Man, it's the time when you're on a dirt bike that the throttle just goes wide open, when you're coming down from a jump into one. So Frank Scattini going to advance against our 05 champion. A great job by the Monster Jerky truck. We'll look forward to seeing him back here in just a few moments. Right now, Jimmy Cretin and the Bounty Hunter coming out to do battle, and this is going to be a good one. Brad Campbell and Monster Moose has got some proving ground here.
This will be a true test for Campbell and the Monster Moose. Wants to put on a good show in front of his home state crowd. He's from Puget Sound, just up the road here. Looking good so far against Jimmy Cretin. Around the turn well, lines up the tabletop. He's up and over before Cretin even touches it. He's on to the bigger one. A little slow there. Looks like Bounty Hunter's gaining some ground. This turn is critical. Pretty well executed by both trucks. Whoa, Campbell.
Look at Cretin.
Campbell stumbled a little bit, but Cretin spent way too much time in the air. And while he was up there, Brad Campbell was on the gas and across the line with a time of 26.583. He got it done.
Man, I thought for sure when Jimmy Cretin hit that tabletop that he was going to gain some of that ground back, but instead it was just the opposite. If he had let it settle down a little bit and put the hammer down, I think that he might have been able to catch Brad right there towards the finish line.
Yeah, that one really wasn't decided until the last straightaway, but Brad Campbell, I'm sure he's pleased. He's in his home state. He's trying to do good. He's got a lot of friends and family in the crowd here tonight, and it's always special when you can look good in front of those hometown folks.
One of the interesting things is they rounded that corner that last time around there in the replay. You can see Jimmy Cretin's truck wasn't even in the screen. It was still coming down from airtime. So that moves us on to semifinals where Iron Outlaw and Monster Jerky are going to do battle first. Let's take a look at that race right now.
We mentioned earlier, Scattini's feeling it. He's going to have to really hustle. Iron Outlaw has been an imposing competitor. Just since he unloaded the truck here in Monroe, Lindsey Wink has won everything there has been to win, it would seem. Scattini's got his work cut out for him, but a great start from Scattini. He's the first to the turn. Could he keep the streak alive, Kevin?
Man, Owen, look at that.
Oh,
Lindsey
he will.
Wink, he got into his head. Lindsey Wink overshoots the corner. Scattini launches the tabletop again. Now he's got to hang on to it. Let's see as they're coming into the final stretch. Scattini's got to get it lined up and over that, and the way this one is done. Hands down, Scattini earned this victory every step of the way.
Yeah, big critical mistake from Lindsey Wink. That happens from time to time. He's been so impressive. But the victory, 28.614, goes to Scattini here, and he has been feeling it.
Man, we were talking about the zone just moments ago. Scattini is in that zone. When you can get into a competitor's head like Lindsey Wink, who is always poised, he's cool, he's calm, he's collected, Scattini got under his skin a little bit and forced him to make a mistake, and sometimes that's all it takes. You just got to be there to capitalize on it.
It's nice to see a good story for Frank Scattini. I don't know that he's ever really been in the finals of obstacle course racing before in Monsters of Destruction competition. This is one of his better nights, to be sure. He will get a chance to take his first championship. His opponent is still to be determined, but let's talk to Brad Campbell about his chances of making the final.
It feels good again to be in the semifinals. We got a lot of fans here, hometown fans. Got some good sponsors behind us for the weekend. We got 4-wheel parts, Flex-A-Lite, helping these trucks run the hardest. We got the smallest motor out here. Right now I'm running a spare motor, a 461. I thank Britco for building the motors that make these trucks run as hard as they do. I'm just pumped to be in the semifinals again. Taking out someone like Jimmy Cretin, that's a huge accomplishment. We look up to guys like them, and we love running with them every weekend.
So we're back for semifinal action. It's our second heat in semifinals where Brad Campbell and Monster Moose going to go up against Rick Swanson and Obsession. And this is for all the marbles here, Wade. The winner of this advancing to the finals to face Frank Scattini in the Monster Jerky.
Both trucks start fairly clean. It's still even at the turn. Let's see how they get around. Looks like Monster Moose has the lead after the turn. He's looking good. Could this be an upset? Brad Campbell looking good so far. Gaining ground now is Swanson in the Obsession truck. Around the turn goes Campbell. Looks like Obsession and Swanson carried that last turn a little bit wide. Not going to be able to recover. Almost a full straightaway victory. Your second first-time finalist tonight. Brad Campbell is in the finals in front of his home state crowd. We are going to have a first-time winner here tonight.
That's right, Frank Scattini and Monster Jerky going up against Brad Campbell and Monster Moose. That is going to be a tough race as both drivers feeling it tonight. They're both in the zone. Now, of course, this man, Brad Campbell and the Monster Moose in front of his hometown crowd. Now, one thing I want to point out here, This is Rick's first time in the far lane tonight in obstacle course racing. We've seen him kind of blow the tabletops on the backside lane. Didn't have a chance to do that this time. I think that kind of threw him off out here.
He's got to be pleased with this performance. He's made it all the way through to the finals. He's not really known for obstacle course racing, just on his game. We'll be back with that final after these words on Monsters of Destruction. Well, it's going to be a Cinderella story tonight. Who's got the slipper? Is it Frank Scattini and Monster Jerky or Brad Campbell and Monster Moose? You know, with enthusiasm and energy and mojo, it might go to Brad Campbell because he's in front of a hometown crowd. He's been itching for this opportunity his whole life. But Frank is going to be tough to beat as well, as fiberglass has fallen off of that Monster Jerky truck. It's in disrepair, but running quick. Still anybody's race.
And look at Scattini's truck. It is coming apart. He launches the tabletop. The truck comes apart in midair.
Pieces are still raining down on the floor here in Monroe, Washington. It's too close to call. It's Campbell. It's Scattini. Scattini pulling away now. Monster Jerky going to win this one. Pretty close race. Heartbreak for Brad Campbell, but victory goes to Frank Scattini, a first-time winner in MOD action. His time, 26:141. Great show by Frank Scattini and Monster Jerky as this truck just disintegrates in front of your eyes.
Now, just to give you an idea of how hard these guys are on these trucks, I mean, look at this thing. His canopy's already loose. It starts to come off there. He launches the tabletop, and that blip right there off the front of the lip of the jump was enough to disintegrate that canopy the rest of the way. But this Pro Comp Tires Monster Jerky truck has held together with running gear, and Frank Scattini comes out and wins it all here tonight in obstacle course racing action. A .264 reaction time. Scattini runs away with the victory.
So your final results tonight: Frank Scattini, your winner, followed by Brad Campbell, an impressive second for him. Rick Swanson was third. Lindsey Wink falls all the way to fourth. Craig Christensen fifth. Jimmy Cretin finished sixth, followed by Paul Jensen and Spider-Man. Roger Steidel in eighth. Jason Grill ninth. And Kelvin Raymer in Natural High was 10th. Your season standings through 14 rounds show Rick Swanson in the Obsession truck on top, followed by Dan Patrick, Craig Christensen, Paul Jensen, and Dan Runte of Bigfoot. Rounding out the top 10, it's Kelvin Raymer in Natural High, Frank Scattini in Monster Jerky, Lindsey Wink in Iron Outlaw, Jimmy Cretin in Bounty Hunter, and Rick Long in Bigfoot.
Well, Frank, I'd have to say that after several rounds of you having to sit out, much less having transmission troubles and engine troubles, you come out, you spank them out here tonight. It's got to feel great.
Yeah, blowing a motor down in Roswell and then South Dakota, just transmission problems, drive shaft problems, and I guess the big dummy monsterjerky.com Pro Comp Tires monster truck did not fail me tonight, blasting the big jumps and big air, great racing. I mean, I got to hand it to every other guy out there for helping me get this tranny in. During the day, they're helping me put it in. Then I'm out there racing against them.
Let's move on to freestyle now. Taking the track is Lindsey Wink in the Iron Outlaw. He's had a great 2 rounds here in Monroe, Washington. Let's see what he's got for freestyle. They've added some obstacles. The tabletops are huge. He's going to try and excite this crowd. It's a pretty big crowd here tonight in round 14, Kevin.
That it is. After talking to Frank here just a moment ago, he is so excited and so pumped about winning this event out here tonight. But Lindsey Wink in the Iron Outlaw is the one that has the crowd's attention now. I'm interested to see what he's going to do. Right there, a huge launch by Wink in the Outlaw. Just, man, they are just pummeling these trucks out here tonight. A lot of punishment on this freestyle course for MOD round 14.
A lot of time left to go in this run. There's the bus. Up and over the bus. Some glass flies there as they're punishing those cars.
Absolutely destroyed. When we saw it here in round 13, Jimmy Cretin came out in the Bounty Hunter and completely cleared that bus all the way up and over. Lindsey Wink a little bit more conservative with the truck out there tonight. You see him coming backwards over that long stack of cars. But there is a lot of ground to play out here with a monster truck. If you're out here doing freestyle, you got one of like 15 or 20 different things that you can hit in any direction.
Plus, the donuts are pretty easy to execute here on the asphalt. A little slicker surface, easier to get them started. There's up and over the bus one more time. Lindsey Wink still got some time left here. The crowd very excited about this freestyle run. Thought maybe we'd see a donut there. A little bit of smoke starting to fly from Iron Outlaw. I'm not sure how much he's got left in the tank.
Well, let's see what he's got right now. He's got, now remember, they've got 2 minutes when they come out here. 120 seconds in MOD action for freestyle. Lindsey Wink burning through that pretty quick out here tonight, being a little conservative, and it looks like that's all we're going to get from him. Let's take a look at some of his highlights right now. Back over the set of cars he goes there, getting a little bit of a launch. Now, it's a little bit deceiving because they do get about 15 or 20 feet by the time they clear those cars on the way back. Now, there you see the front tires going way up in the air. But let's see if we can get a look at that bus stack when he comes back around over that. That was the interesting part, when he busted all the glass out of those cars. We'll be back with more freestyle after these words from our sponsors.
In round 14, it's Rick Swanson in the Obsession truck. He's had a pretty good couple of rounds here in Monroe, Washington, and he's going to go out with a bang, to be sure.
Rick Swanson always come out to put on a good freestyle no matter what condition the truck is in. He'll come out and punish anything out there. So let's see if as he gets into his freestyle run in front of this Monroe crowd at the Evergreen Speedway. It's round 14, finishing off with a bang like you mentioned, Wade. Rick Swanson so far hasn't done anything spectacular, but we've got more to come. Rick Swanson always finds that big obstacle and launches it sky high.
He's just sort of sizing up the track right now, trying to figure out where that spectacular move is. Making his approach here on the gas hard. Nothing yet. He's still kind of checking it out, feeling out this course. I know he's got something in him, though.
You know, it's been a packed night with the 10-truck field. You know, they don't get a whole lot of chance to come out here and scope out the track. It's nonstop action. Here we go into a donut out here on the asphalt in front of the crowd. Smoke is flying from the tires. That infamous Swanson donut as he lays rubber out there on the asphalt. And let's find out if he's going to take a nice long jump off of one of these obstacles here. There he goes backwards off the roller, getting about a 15-foot jump there. Still waiting for Swanson to come around at that bus stack. Let's see if he's got it in him. Swanson being a little timid out there tonight.
Oh, there's no timid in him. He's just saving this truck for a big finish. I know Rick. He's going to go out strong. The donut was nice, but you're right, not a whole lot of air yet. He's never been one to really worry about what the clock says. I think he's going to try and drag this out just a little bit.
That you are correct about, sir. So Rick Swanson out here in the middle of his freestyle run. It looks like he's going to try another donut out here in front of this Monroe crowd.
He's bouncing it, though. I mean, didn't really hook it up right there.